Part 148. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 1471. Chapter 1471 Beiji rejects Mo Xiongnuan. Mo Xiongnuan stopped moving halfway through. Ye Wei saw through her thoughts and held her hand tightly. Don't worry Nuan Nuan, they will all like you, and my Nuan Nuan is a very cute girl. Su Shi's only words sounded too warm, and Mo Xiongnuan couldn't help but believe it. When Ye Yuyi appeared in front of everyone with Mo Xiongnuan, everyone suddenly became quiet. Mo Xiongnuan was extremely nervous at this moment, because she knew that everyone was looking at her, and she was afraid that she was not doing well. Hey, could you please calm down your eyes? If you scare my Nuan Nuan, I'll be in trouble with you. Ye Wei reached out and clapped his hands to stir up the atmosphere. Gong Qinli put down her phone and walked over, half crouching in front of Mo Xiongnuan, with a happy face. Everyone knows that you are giving birth to twins. We originally guessed that Nuan Nuan is similar to Ruruo, but we didn't expect Nuan Nuan. It's so cute for such a small one. Yes, Hiruo is noble and elegant, Nangongyu is gentle and quiet, Beijiu is a cute little Lolita, and Mo Xiongnuan is cute. Nangong Luo almost added, he looks easy to bully. Like pinching. Please don't, put away your restless paws. Hey, why do you want to hurt me like this? Is it wrong for me to like Nuan Nuan? No matter how old they are, as long as they maintain a good attitude and live up to their original aspirations, they can still communicate happily as before, and there is no generation gap. Nangong Luo conjured up a lollipop from nowhere and handed it to Mo Xiongnuan, fully expressing his kindness to her. Xiao Nuan Nuan, I am your godmother. We have officially met now. What will happen in the future, you can come to me for anything, my godmother will protect you. Nangong Luo waved his hand domineeringly and handed her a car key directly. My godfather lacks everything but a car. I will give you a car as a toy. Hearing Nangong Luo's words, Ye Wei couldn't help but hold his forehead. Gong Qinli has no ears to listen. This person of mine seems to be the silly son of a landlord. In the end, Nangong Yuyong appeared in the most harmonious way and greeted her gently. Hello, Sister Nuan Nuan, my name is Nangong Yu, and the two people just now are my daddy and mommy. This tone and voice make people feel so comfortable. Nangong Yu also gave Mo Xiongnuan a small pink box. This is the gift I prepared for you. I hope you like it. At the end of the day, Nangong Yu smiled at her. Mo Xiongnuan couldn't help but smile sincerely. Is it my turn now? Yuan Ran has actually learned to joke over the years. What she gave to Mo Xiongnuan was a card. Your godfather B is busy and can't come now, so this gift can be considered a gift from our family to you. The weight of the calorie is not light. Thinking that Mo Xiongnuan had opened the gifts that had been stored at home for more than 10 years at once, and there were no shortage of trinkets, Yuan Ran thought of the easiest way. As for Beijiu was forcibly pulled over by Yuan Ran to recognize him. Little Lolita was having a good time with Ye Qingfeng, but she was suddenly dragged over to meet a stranger. She was a little unhappy. Beijiu really rejects strangers. Even if they may become familiar people in the future, she will still reject them during the stranger period. Perfunctorily, she called Sister Nuan Nuan according to the title Yuan Ran taught, and she turned around and ran away. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 1472. Chapter 1472 I don't like you anymore. Perfunctorily, she called Sister Nuan Nuan according to the title Yuan Ran taught, and she turned around and ran away. Yuan Ran turned around and tried to pull it but couldn't find it. However, except for Mo Xiongnuan, everyone here regarded Beijiu's reaction as a natural reaction. However, at this time, Yuan Ran had to express some words of comfort to her. Don't mind Nuan Nuan, Gu has been a bit repulsive to unfamiliar people since she was born, and it's not just for you. After hearing this, Mo Xiongnuan felt a little better. The little sister is very cute. Bei Jiyu turned around and ran to Ye Qingfeng, hugging him and acting coquettishly. In the past, if Bei Jiyu pestered Ye Qingfeng to play, Yezhiruo would either play with them or find other things to do by himself. In general, Ye Qingfeng's time belonged to Bei Jiyu. The little girl is extremely possessive, and people around her often give way to her, so she has developed that kind of thinking habit since she was a child. Brother Feng, I want to go outside and play on the swing. Okay, let's go play on the swing. It was Ye Qingfeng who still took Bei Jiyu to play, but this time when Bei Jiyu sat down and had fun, Ye Qingfeng mentioned about Mo Xiongnuan. Don't you like Sister Nuanuan? Dislike. Why? Because I like Brother Feng, he. Then besides me, who else does you like? You also likes her daddy, mommy, grandma, sister Ruo, and her godfather and godmother. In short, she likes the people around her who are familiar with her. Hearing these words, Ye Qingfeng felt relieved. I know you don't like to come into contact with unfamiliar people, but Sister Nuanuan will play with us in the future, and you will get to know her gradually. I don't want to play with her. What you say will make those who hear it sad. If there is an action that can express Bei Jiyu's mood, it must be squatting on the spot and drawing circles. However, children's minds are easy to change. Ye Qingfeng believes that once Bei Jiyu and Mo Xiongnuan meet more, the relationship will gradually improve. After all, Grandma Yu has been rejected by her granddaughter for so long. But this time Ye Qingfeng miscalculated. Mo Xiongnuan has just returned home after being separated for 14 years. Of course, everyone dotes on her and treats her with caution. Ye Qingfeng couldn't hide her girly nature. Whether it was eating or playing, she stayed with Mo Xiongnuan and took good care of her. Bei Jiyu became even more angry after seeing it. Because she still couldn't understand why a stranger suddenly appeared and stole Ye Qingfeng's attention. Even Yezhiruo was very kind to that person. However, Bei Jiyu will not make a big fuss when he is angry. She will first try to attract other people's attention, but when she finds that she cannot do it, she will walk away. Bei Jiyu ran to Yuan Ran and tugged at the hem of her clothes, pouting a little aggrievedly, "Mommy, I want to go home." Yuan Ran checked the time on her phone. It was still early. It was obviously to celebrate Mo Xiongnuan's return. It didn't seem good to leave when everyone was having fun. What's wrong with you? Haven't you always wanted to play with Brother Feng and Sister Ruo? Now there is an additional Sister Nuanuan, and they will take you to play. Brother Feng and Sister Ruo like other people but don't like you. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1473. Chapter 1473. I don't want him anymore. Mommy, I want to go home, I want to find my daddy, I want my grandma. Bei Jiyu took Yuan Ran's arm and shook it constantly while stomping his steps. Her movement made Gong Qinli look back. Gong Qinli didn't know what Bei Jiyu was thinking, so he reached out and called her over. Come here and give me a hug. Bei Jiyu pouted and walked over. Gong Qinli picked her up and sat on her knees. What's wrong with you? Who made us unhappy? You is not unhappy. Gong Qinli tapped her chin with her finger. Look, your little mouth is so pouty that it can hang a teapot. Bei Jiyu said firmly, I want to go home. Gong Qinli was naturally unwilling to let her go, so she could only coax her. It's so lively with all of us here. When you goes back, no one will play with you. Speaking of this, Bei Jiyu felt even more aggrieved. She muttered in a low voice, "No one here plays with me." Gong Qinli grinned slightly, turned to look at Ye Qingfeng, and suddenly nodded in realization, "Oh, you are is jealous." No, refuting without hesitation is tantamount to admitting. "Can I help you call your brother Feng over to play with you?" "I don't want him anymore," he said no, but his clever eyes kept turning and betrayed his emotions. In fact, there was no need for Gong Qinli to shout out, Ye Qingfeng had already noticed this. He originally thought that Beijiu was just looking for adults to act like a spoiled brat, and maybe he would come over to play later, so he ignored her and taught Mo Xiongnuan how to play checkers with Yezhiruo. Nuan, when playing checkers, you can't just think of using other people's pieces as bridges. You have to learn to build bridges for yourself. This is the safest way. The three people's chess pieces were a little confused on the chessboard. This was Mo Xiongnuan's first time playing this kind of game. She had a general understanding of the rules of the game, but she was not as proficient in playing it as Ye Qingfeng and Yezhiruo, so she had to adjust the position of the chess pieces when they jumped. The layout thinking is somewhat lacking. Sometimes I am blocked by other people's chess pieces, and sometimes other people's chess pieces just leave. Just like in life, sometimes you can't just rely on others, because you are the most trustworthy. However, Mo Xiongnuan learns things very quickly. After one game, he almost mastered the gameplay and was even able to think about it. At the end of the game, Ye Qingfeng and Yezhiruo were tied, and Mo Xiongnuan missed 2 moves. "Come again, I feel like Nuan will be on par with us after 2 more games. You two play first, I'll go look at the moon." "Okay, go ahead and go." Yezhiruo waved his hand and quickly started placing the chess pieces. While placing the chess pieces, he talked to Mo Xiongnuan about ordinary things. "It's a pity that you are left because of something. You don't know her. She is good at everything, but she is lacking in games. I don't know why. It is undeniable that Nangang Yu is excellent, both in terms of EQ and IQ, but I don't know why, when I see a game about chess, I feel like my head is in a daze, my eyes are all blurred, and I can't even think and calculate. Mingming Gongqinli is very good at chess, but her daughter knows nothing about it." Everyone said that Nangang Luo and Gongqinli were probably responsible for Nangang Yu's birth. It's really puzzling that 2 people with active personalities could raise such a gentle and good girl. Sister, tell me about Sister Yu. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1474. Chapter 1474. Is it really just a girl control? Yu is just a little Lolita. What do you want to know about her? I feel like she doesn't like me very much. Hey, you're overthinking it? Didn't everyone tell you before that Yu has been acquainted with people since she was born? As long as she is unfamiliar with people, she will act a little repulsive. Even if they have known her for a long time, they may not like her. Joy. Yu is a very cute little girl. As long as you get to know her well, you will know that she is easy to get along with. Once you get to know her well, she will become dependent, and being dependent on someone is actually a big deal. She doesn't seem to like playing with me. What should I do? Don't be so anxious. It's not that she doesn't like playing with you, it's just that Yu likes her brother very much. If he is around, she will almost always play with him. Find a good time next time and go to her house to play. Yezhiruo and Mo Xiongnuan live in different environments, so their ideas are also very different. For Yezhiruo, who was born in the clouds, he is confident no matter what he does. But for Mo Xiongnuan, who had just stuck her head out of the mud and looked at the sky, there were many things that she had to carefully maintain, which made her feel inferior. The chess game between Yezhiruo and Mo Xiongnuan has begun, but on the other side, Ye Qingfeng realized that Beijiu was really unhappy. When Ye Qingfeng walked over, Gongqinli cooperatively pushed Beijiu in her arms. Look, your dear brother Qingfeng is here to see you, bye. Just when Ye Qingfeng was about to reach out to hold Beijiu, she suddenly dodged away. Beijiu angrily walked to stand behind Yuan Ran's chair, looking aggrieved. Ye Qingfeng followed her in a circle and finally caught the little guy. What's wrong with Xiao Yuer, who made our Yuer unhappy? There is no unhappiness. It's not fun for you to come here alone, let's go over together and play with Sister Ruo and Nuanuan. As soon as Beijiu heard the name Sister Nuanuan, she subconsciously rejected her and said, I won't go play. How about we compete in guessing and drawing? Ye Qingfeng knew that guessing and drawing was Beijiu's favorite game at the moment. Beijiu was a little shaken. Ye Qingfeng knew that this trick was very effective, so he invited her again and again, and this time he successfully took Beijiu's hand and slowly pulled her back. Yuan Ran looked at it and shook his head secretly. Gongqinli suddenly moved her chair next to Yuan Ran and whispered, An Ran, do you think Xiao Qingfeng's sister control attribute is too serious? Is there any? No? Can't you see this? He has been very protective of Ruruo since he was a child, and even more so after Nuanuan came back. The three of them are triplets, and their relationship is extraordinary. Isn't this normal? Originally, it was like this, but look at how he treats you. Or like. A metaphor suddenly came to mind, but Gongqinli couldn't say it for a while. Yuan Ran followed up and asked, with what? Gongqinli looked at Yuan Ran's innocent face, blinked and looked away. Forget it, people like Yuan Ran have high IQs but low X. She thought maybe she had watched too many romantic TV series, and she imagined that if Beijiu came again, their thinking pattern would be the same as that of a young couple in love. To be honest, although she has always thought about letting her daughter develop a childhood sweetheart relationship with Ye Qingfeng, she feels that she is just a little short of the mark. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1475. Chapter 1475. Li Painter, get up. Having a party at Yejia, everyone went back to their homes around 9 o'clock. Kitano, who finally finished working overtime, rushed directly from the company to pick up Yuan Ran and her daughter. After seeing off all the guests, Ye Wei deliberately pulled Mo Xiangnuen aside and asked her if she was suitable for today. Mo Xiangnuen nodded. Although she was not familiar with those people yet, she felt kindness and warmth. That was a feeling she had never felt before, and it still felt unreal to her. Especially when she slept in the room dedicated to Mo Xiangnuen at night, lying on the bed, she kept her eyes open and did not dare to sleep, for fear that when she woke up, everything would turn back to the same bad state as before. Li Panur, get up. Damn it, why haven't you prepared breakfast today? Are you lazy at home? I can't even do this kind of work, it's a waste of food to feed you, so don't eat this meal. Li Panur, go and take this pile of clothes for washing. Ah dash. Mo Xiangnuen suddenly sat up from the bed. He subconsciously put the back of his hand on his forehead and felt that he was sweating profusely. Her heartbeat was very fast at this moment, and it was more clearly audible in the quiet room, like the sound of a drum. She opened her eyes and saw the street light that was always on outside the window, and fumbled to press the light button on the bedside. With a pop-click, the room suddenly became bright, like daylight. She grabbed the quilt with both hands and touched the soft and warm mattress, remembering the time she spent on the cold and hard bed of the Li family. There are a lot of mosquitoes in summer. In winter, even if you wrap yourself in a quilt, you won't feel the warmth. You often wake up in the middle of the night from the cold. Thinking of those days, I suddenly felt a little scary. Dong dong dong. There was a knock on the door. Mo Xiangnuen immediately became alert, stared at the door, and asked in a low voice, "Who is it?" Dong dong dong. No one answered, just a knock on the door. Amo Xiong Nguyen didn't dare to get out of bed. The person outside the door had already pushed the door open and entered. Ye Wei walked in wearing pajamas. When Amo Xiong Nguyen saw clearly who was coming, he instantly relaxed. She just remembered that the soundproof room here was very good. What she said in that little voice just now could not be heard by the people outside the door. Ye Wei slowly walked over and sat on the bedside. Nuan Nuan, why aren't you sleeping yet? Children can't stay up late. Yejia has a specially set healthy schedule for children. At this point, the children should be sleeping in bed. She just passed by and noticed that the lights in this room were still on, so she knocked on the door. However, she didn't hear a response from the person inside and opened the door. Unexpectedly, Amo Xiong Nguyen was sitting on the bedside, looking a little lonely. Can't you sleep? If there's anything you're not used to, just tell mommy, you don't have to be polite. Amo Xiong Nguyen heard Ye Wei's self-promotion in front of her. But from the beginning to the end, she never called Ye Yezikin mommy, nor did she call Yezikin daddy. She thought about it, but she couldn't get the words out of her mouth. She didn't even know what she was struggling with. Amo Xiong Nguyen was lost in his own thoughts. Yes, only words never got an answer, but she was not annoyed at all. Instead, she opened the quilt and sat on the bed, hugging Amo Xiong Nguyen. Can mommy sleep with you tonight? Amo Xiong Nguyen agreed. After the two of them lay down, Ye was the only one who kept holding her. Amo Xiong Nguyen experienced deep maternal love for the first time. Mommy. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1476. Chapter 1476. Unable to adapt to the new school. Amo Xiong Nguyen was treated very well after she came back, probably because Ye Wei and Yezikin deliberately protected her. The people she came into contact with were all close to her and were full of goodwill towards her. The only thing that gave Amo Xiong Nguyen a headache was Beijiu. Earlier, the four of us could stay together and play, but then Beijiu turned around and left when he saw her. Although people around her have comforted her several times and said that Beijiu has been like this since she was a child and that he did not target her intentionally, she can feel that Beijiu did it on purpose. It seems to be because of my brother Ye Qingfeng. Yezhiruo also told her that Beijiu likes to play with Ye Qingfeng. Is it because she thinks that someone who suddenly appeared has taken away Ye Qingfeng's attention? Amo Xiong Nguyen made cakes with his own hands and wanted to give them to the little loli. The little loli was very arrogant at first and refused to eat them after just one look. In order to help her sister, Yezhiruo took a piece of pastry and ate it with gusto, but the little loli was greedy for it. You can't admit defeat so easily, right? This pastry is delicious, don't you really want to try it? I'm not hungry. Then I'll finish eating. Yezhiruo took one bite at a time and deliberately ate slowly. Beijiu is really good. If you say you don't want it, you really don't want it? This method failed, and Yezhiruo started to come up with new tricks for Amo Xiong Nguyen. It is said that children like to eat sweets, but Beijiu is an exception. Candies cannot coax her. Classes from Monday to Friday, and you can't keep Beijiu to cultivate feelings every day. This matter can only let it go. Amo Xiong Nguyen was only in 6th grade when she was in the countryside. Ye Wei was worried that she wouldn't be able to adapt when she first came to the city, and she hadn't even started to talk about going to school yet. But Amo Xiong Nguyen didn't want to waste time just like that. She took the initiative to go to Ye Wei and said that she wanted to continue studying, and Ye Wei readily agreed. Ye Wei mentioned this matter to Yezikin that night. According to Yezikin's speed, he soon received a notice from the school, which meant that he could take Amo Xiong Nguyen to school now. Considering that Mo Xiongnuan had not learned the teaching content of City S before, they still sent her to the 6th grade of elementary school, thinking that there were still half a year left to speed up her studies, and then they could also arrange for her to study with Ye Qingfeng. They went to the same junior high school. Mo Xiongnuan was not used to it when he entered school. Ye Ziwei was worried that her daughter would not be used to it, so she said hello to the teachers in advance, and those teachers were very polite to her. She was placed in a class with a better learning atmosphere. Someone spread the news that Mo Xiongnuan's family had a backstage, which aroused everyone else's curiosity about her. I don't know who asked about her age. When I heard that she was 14 years old and still in the 6th grade, they all speculated that Mo Xiongnuan was not a good student. When Mo Xiongnuan came to this school, he felt that the classrooms here were great. However, the ordinary decoration of the classrooms was the same as that of the richest people in their village, with white walls and floor tiles. When Mo Xiongnuan first arrived, her desk mate always liked to ask her all kinds of questions. Mo Xiongnuan avoided some answers and behaved relatively silently. When the second class was over, she took a water cup to get water, but she found that the water dispenser in the classroom was different from the one at Yejia, so much so that she couldn't even operate the dispenser even after looking at it. Mo Xiongnuan stood there and stared for a long time. The person behind him laughed and said, "Mo Xiongnuan, you don't know how to get water, do you?" Mo Xiongnuan hugged him slightly. "Just press the red one, you don't even know it. This is already common sense to other students." End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1477. Chapter 1477 Is she a bumpkin? Not only that, they also gradually discovered that Mo Xiongnuan didn't understand many things when using them. Everyone's eyes changed when they looked at Mo Xiongnuan. "You're 14 years old, and you're still in our class, and you don't understand anything. You're just like a country bumpkin. But I think the clothes she is wearing are very beautiful and not tacky." Mo Xiongnuan's outfits and accessories are all the responsibility of Ye Ziwei. What he wears are all the latest styles of the season, and of course they are not tacky. The words of people around her can easily affect her mood, but Mo Xiongnuan is not a glass-hearted person. She convinced herself not to pay too much attention to the gossip. Only by studying hard can she not let down those who are kind to her. Mo Xiongnuan thought she could just study quietly in class, but she didn't expect her next trouble would come soon. She still caught up with her in the school's bi-weekly physical education class. This was the first time she stood on such a wide playground, and then she was told to run 800 meters. In the past, when they were in mountain villages, they didn't have much time to study. When they got to school, they would seize the time to attend classes instead of wasting energy on special sports. But now she has to run 800 meters after forming the team in physical education class. She can't even think about it. The physical education teacher blew a whistle and gave the instruction to turn left. The sports committee member made a report and went out. He said a few words in front of the physical education teacher. The teacher suddenly called out Mo Xiongnuan's name. "Who is Mo Xiongnuan?" Mo Xiongnuan raised his hand at the edge of the crowd. "Mo Xiongnuan, come out," the PE teacher shouted in a loud voice, and everyone turned their attention to Mo Xiongnuan. After Mo Xiongnuan stood out, the sports committee member returned to the team and started running with other students. Mo Xiongnuan stood next to the physical education teacher with a confused look on his face. "Teacher, me. If your body is not suitable for exercise, just go and rest nearby." When he first arrived, Ye Wei had already carefully told the class teacher about Mo Xiongnuan's situation. The class teacher also conveyed the matter to the class committee, so the physical education committee informed the physical education teacher in time. She stood under the big tree and watched other students standing there panting after running 800 meters. After finishing the team, Mo Xiang Nguyen returned to the team and began to do some stretching exercises with everyone. She was originally dressed very warmly, but after sitting for a while and exercising, she felt her body getting hot. She saw other students taking off their clothes beside them before running, so she took advantage of the teacher's call to take a break and planned to take off one piece. She didn't know why, but the necklace suddenly got hooked on her sweater, and she couldn't untie it even after trying it for a while. At this time, you can only ask the classmates next to you for help. "Classmate, could you please help me get the necklace, thank you." The girl next to me came over happily and quickly separated the necklace from the sweater. "Give. Thanks." Just as she thanked her and reached out to take it, someone suddenly snatched away her cherry blossom necklace. Mo Xiang Nguyen's eyes widened immediately. "Give it back to me." "Hey, why weren't you running just now? Do you want a necklace? Come and get it yourself." The naughty boy grabbed the chain of the necklace and swung it twice in front of her. When she reached out to grab it, he ran forward. Mo Xiang Nguyen immediately took steps to catch up. "Give me back the necklace. Then you come after me yourself, and I'll give it to you when you catch me. Call me." She started panting before she had even finished half a lap of the playground. The man deliberately stayed 2 or 3 meters away from her, but he always failed to catch him. A little out of breath. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lou Kixie. Chapter 1478. Chapter 1478 Violent Exercise. "Don't run away, give it back to me, please." Mo Xiang Nguyen's feet have become weak. But the boy is still energetic. She ran around after the male with all her strength, and felt the pain in her heart. She couldn't help but stop. Seeing that Mo Xiang Nguyen didn't catch up, the boy followed and stood 3 meters away from her. "No wonder you don't run. You can't run after only one lap. You're too weak." Perhaps because he felt that Mo Xiang Nguyen was unchallenging, the boy gradually walked towards her and handed out the cherry blossom necklace. Mo Xiang Nguyen stretched out his hand to grab the chain. Suddenly, his eyesight went dark and he forgot everything. Mo Xiang Nguyen fainted. "Teacher, someone fainted. Send to the infirmary quickly." Mo Xiang Nguyen suddenly fainted on the playground. The PE teacher could only contact the head teacher immediately, who would then contact the parents. Ye Wei was discussing a New Year's bidding with Yezikin at the company when she suddenly received a call from the school. When she heard that Mo Xiang Nguyen had suddenly fainted during physical education class, she was so frightened that her face white. Something happened. Warm. She immediately dropped the documents in her hand and told Yezikin that she was leaving. Yezikin also put aside his work temporarily and drove Ye Wei to school himself. At that time, for the convenience of pick-up and drop-off, the school I found was not far from the company. It took about 10 minutes to arrive at the school infirmary, but Mo Xiang Nguyen still didn't wake up. The doctor suggested sending the patient directly to the hospital. The doctor said that the sudden onset of illness was caused by strenuous exercise and emotional instability. It is not life-threatening, but you must stay in hospital for observation. Although it is not life-threatening, every time she gets sick, her health will be damaged. Her condition requires a good recuperation environment to maintain a normal life. You parents should be more careful. Perhaps because he felt sorry for the child, the doctor's words contained a hint of reprimand. Ye Wei nodded repeatedly. "Yes, we will pay more attention to it, thank you doctor." After confirming that Mo Xiang Nguyen's situation was stable, Ye Wei thought of pursuing responsibility. She learned about the situation at the stadium today through her head teacher and directly asked to see the child's parents. Honestly, she said that she was tolerant to her children to a certain extent, but she felt that she could not get involved in matters concerning her own children. Once she gets involved, she won't let it go easily. Yezikin didn't say much, but the first sentence he spoke was, Fire him out immediately. Mr. Ye and Mrs. Ye, that child didn't know about classmate Mo Xiang Nguyen. He didn't do it on purpose. This time, his attitude towards admitting his mistake was also very good. How about you guys try to reconcile? The teacher is a good, conscientious, and responsible teacher who can smooth things over for both parties. But Yezikin's attitude was very decisive and resolute. I don't want my daughter to be left with dangerous creatures behind her. Teacher, your reason is not valid in the first place. Can I just let him play with me because Nuan is in good health? If so, then I really need to re-examine the school spirit and discipline of this school. Yezikin's words were very loud, and this time Yezikin did not show mercy at all. That boy didn't expect that he would cause such a big trouble. Fortunately, the head teacher intervened, and finally they reached an agreement that after the person involved, Mo Xiang Nguyen, woke up, the boy would be asked to apologize before making a decision. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1479. Chapter 1479 Deep Father's Love. Mo Xiang Nguyen has to be hospitalized for observation. The treatment he received this time was 10 times better than when he came to the city for treatment. Not only were people from the Ye family accompanying him throughout the whole process, but Nangong Luo and Yuan Ran also came to visit. Bai Jiyu was reluctant to come when she first heard that she was going to see Mo Xiang Nguyen, but after Yuan Ran tried to communicate with her, she also came. Bai Jiyu hid behind a group of adults, and restlessly poked her head out, and saw that Mo Xiang Nguyen, who was sitting on the bed, looked different from usual. She heard her mother say that Sister Nuan was sick. She only knew that when she was sick, she had to take medicine, and if it was more serious, she would need injections, but in Bai Jiyu's memory, she was not hospitalized. Can you go and comfort Sister Nuan later? Sister Nuan is very pitiful when she is sick. Mommy gave you the flowers. On behalf of Mommy and Daddy, can you give the flowers to the little sister? You just follow her. I wish her a speedy recovery. Yuan Ran also spent a lot of effort to get her daughter to accept Mo Xiang Nguyen as soon as possible. She asked Bai Jiyu to do this just to take a gamble, and she was not sure that Bai Jiyu would definitely listen. Bai Jiyu did hesitate at the beginning. Just when Yuan Ran was about to give up, Bai Jiyu suddenly took the flower away from her hand. The bouquet of flowers was not big, but half of Bai Jiyu's face was covered when she held her in her arms. The picture of the little person holding a bouquet of flowers looked really cute. Sister Nuan, I heard that you are sick. I will give you some flowers and wish you a speedy recovery. Bai Jiyu had indeed remembered Yuan Ran's words just now, and even added some words of her own to tell Mo Xiang Nguyen. Mo Xiang Nguyen could really feel that Bai Jiyu's attitude towards her had changed, and she was extremely happy. Little Lolita has a tsundere nature at heart. She has obviously changed her attitude but still refuses to show it in front of everyone. After giving her flowers, she walked out in a draggy manner. When she was about to walk out of the door, Yuan Ran caught her in time. Don't run around. I don't have one. From the time Mo Xiang Nguyen was hospitalized, Ye Wei stayed directly in the hospital to protect her. Ye Wei was almost always with her during the day, and Yezikin would also come over at night. After both mother and daughter closed their eyes and went to sleep, Yezikin opened the notebook again and started to deal with the unfinished work. At this moment, Mo Xiang Nguyen slowly opened his eyes. She turned to look in the direction of Yezikin, staring at him seriously. Yezikin had excellent insight and quickly caught the gaze coming from the side. Yezikin made a silent gesture. Mo Xiang Nguyen stayed quietly, his slippery eyes looking at Yezikin. She didn't look away until Yezikin had finished approving a document. Yezikin opened his mouth and whispered 2 words to her, sleep. Mo Xiongnuan not only did not close his eyes, but opened them even wider. Yezikin has always given her a serious impression. Even after knowing that she was her biological daughter, her attitude did not change 180 degrees like Ye Qingfeng did. But now she feels so strange. Yezikin moved the stool softly and stood up, his figure instantly becoming taller. Mo Xiongnuan couldn't help but smile slightly. The next moment, Yezikin had already walked to her bedside. Then Mo Xiongnuan saw with his own eyes the tall figure squatting down in front of her. Yezikin, who was aloof in everyone's eyes, squatted in front of her. At that moment, Mo Xiongnuan felt a very strange feeling in his heart. Warm. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 1480. Chapter 1480 Mo Xiongnuan, I will never play tricks on you again. On the third day that Mo Xiongnuan was hospitalized, she met an unexpected person. Uncle Ying. Mo Xiongnuan looked at the man in a white coat who suddenly appeared in the ward with a look of shock, because this man was none other than Ying's Heshan. But what makes her curious is why Dr. Ying appears here. He was also wearing a white coat with the hospital logo. Panur, oh no, Nuan, how do you feel now? I'm fine, thank you Uncle Ying for your relationship, but Uncle Ying, why are you here? Dr. Ying couldn't help but laugh when he mentioned this. Thanks to you, our whole family has moved to the city, and I have passed the examination of this hospital and will work here in the future. Really, that's awesome. Dr. Ying can be considered a good person and is rewarded well. With Gu Chenxi's support, and since he is a man of real talent and learning, he has a bright future. On the 5th day of hospitalization, Mo Xiongnuan saw a few unexpected people coming to visit her. They were the boy Lu Yu who had snatched her necklace at school and made her sick. Lu Yu and his parents actually came back to the hospital every day. They just waited for 5 full days before Ye Wei relented and let them come in for a visit. In fact, it was to win over Mo Xiongnuan's Yun Long. Mo Xiongnuan was a little angry at first, but since Lu Yu had a good attitude towards admitting his mistakes, Mo Xiongnuan couldn't lose his temper. When Lu Yu's family jointly asked Mo Xiongnuan to forgive Lu Yu, Mo Xiongnuan had no choice but to tell them, I'm fine, as long as you don't do this again next time. Mo Xiongnuan, I will never play tricks on you again. Okay, then I forgive you. Hearing the words of forgiveness from Mo Xiongnuan himself, Lu Yu's family breathed a sigh of relief. Now their son would not be expelled from school. Ye Wei was peeling fruit for Mo Xiongnuan beside her, and she was very concentrated on it. She didn't say a superfluous word from the beginning to the end. Before leaving, the Lu family specially said a few words of apology to Ye Wei. Ye Wei was still peeling the fruit and pretended not to hear. When all the Lu family members left, Ye's only fruit platter was ready. Baby, eat some fruit. Thank you, Auntie Ye. You're welcome. Maybe he couldn't change his tune for a while, and Mo Xiongnuan still hasn't called Ye mommy loudly, but Ye has slowly accepted it, because she always felt that she owed Mo Xiongnuan 14 years, and she believed as long as you continue to persevere, your daughter's heart will slowly grow closer to her. On Saturday, most people were free and came to visit Mo Xiongnuan, and the ward was almost full. Now Mo Xiongnuan finally realizes what it means to be surrounded by stars and holding the moon. That feeling is really too subtle. She would answer seriously when everyone spoke to her, but the one that concerned Mo Xiongnuan the most was the little lowly Beijiu. The biggest problem she has encountered since she returned home and has yet to be solved is how to get Beijiu to accept her, a new girl who has just arrived. Yuan Ran suddenly pulled Beijiu to the bed and said, didn't you say you had a gift for Sister Nuanuan yesterday afternoon? Take out the small gift and give it to Sister. At first hearing what Yuan Ran said, Amo Xiong Nguyen couldn't believe it. Bai Jiyu did not respond, but opened the bear bag she was carrying. End of this chapter.